You're saying there's a chance. That's what I'm saying. As Dumb and Dumber, once made a great statement about the one in a million. Still that chance, but most likely I'll just be supporting Song, who, in my opinion, is one of those guys that'll be in the conversation for a title within 2 fights.
Helen Yee here in Jacksonville, being joined by the one and only, the legend and Hall of Famer, Mr. Urijah Faber. Now, we're hours removed from you making a surprise weigh-in, but you did tell the Schmo last week you were prepared to be a backup, which you were a man of your word, and everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, honestly, everything seemed to be smooth, and there was going to be no need for it. Luckily, I did bring my mouthpiece, which I found at like 4 in the morning and sent a picture to Dana, which he was up. The guy's a workaholic, and it seemed that everything was going to be fine with Song, and then we got a call that basically was saying there's some sort of issues. So there was all sorts of crazy stuff happening. It was like, he needed to jump on a jet and fly to the Bahamas or the Dominican or somewhere, and the only place open was Cancun. So he's going to maybe have to fly today during weigh-in day to Cancun, and still don't know if it was going to work and all this stuff. And in the meantime, I had to make weight just to be within the conversation and be ready to fight. And it was looking like that was going to happen. Somehow the UFC brass got it together. They, pulled strings or did their due diligence, whatever happened, and got the job done. So right after I weighed in, the word was we're good to go with Song. So barring something else happening, he's fighting tomorrow, which I'm happy for. He's been preparing. I have not been preparing. I've been strictly quarantined. I have been watching my diet just because I don't want to get too chubby. It was my birthday yesterday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. So it was like, it's all for the story. It's your birthday, the quarantine times. You're in Florida, this weird thing. Might as well jump in, make some money, have a fight. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to pan out.
But you will still be in Song's corner, of course, now that he'll be fighting Cheeto Vera, and it's 100% confirmed.
From what I understand, it's 100% confirmed, but it was already 100% confirmed 2 times prior, where I thought it was confirmed even before we even came here. So the good thing is they've got a backup. If something strange happens, I'll be ready to jump in. But I'm happy to be a coach and happy to have the guy that's been preparing for this battle. They're ready to do it.
What a crazy birthday weekend it has been for you, and it just kind of begun.
Yeah, it's mostly just been sitting in the room, trying to be safe and quarantined, and I spent about 4 hours sitting at the pool with no one out there, which was kind of cool, and just living the dream. I had about 12 hours of visualization, thinking what I was going to say after I won the fight, and things I was going to do, and I actually couldn't sleep last night. I've been staying up late because of the time difference anyways, and so I need to take a nap. But, I was pumped up for about 12 hours.
But there are so many fights going on. The last fight card tomorrow, but UFC 249 a week ago. And I did see, again, you tell the Schmo on the Schmo Zone about the Dominick Cruz, Henry Cejudo. What did you make of that outcome?
I've been in fights for world championships more than 99.9% of the people in the history of our sport. And look, we're fighting for a living. We want to remove all doubt from a situation. So I feel Dominick Cruz. Not that he was going to pop up and beat the crap out of Henry or anything, but, we know the risk. We're fighting for world championships, 5-round fights. If you get shook, and you're still trying to work and defend yourself, stranger things have happened in fights. I mean, I can name fight after fight where guys look like they're out and the other guy gets it together and comes back. Frankie Edgar's had a career of that kind of those kind of fights where you can almost count the guy out and he's come back, and that's what's made him, who he is today. So I do like to remove all doubt. That being said, Henry landed a nasty shot on Cruz and followed up with a bunch of strikes. It looked bleak. It was the end of the round. I think Dominick probably would have recovered somewhat. I don't know if the result would have been different, but I can feel his frustration, but it wasn't like he got completely robbed. It was just like, man, for somebody that understands fighting at the highest level and what we're willing to do in there, I would have been a little frustrated. But
what about his claim about Keith Peterson and just what he smelled like? Like, has that ever happened to you in a fight?
I heard that third party. I don't really watch too much of what's going on out there, but somebody made a joke to Keith Peterson, and I was like, what was that about? I mean, if somebody smokes cigarettes a lot, they smell like cigarettes. I don't know about the alcohol. If Keith Peterson smelled like alcohol, he's probably functioning while he's drinking alcohol, and I don't think that was the cause. I think he was more trying to protect the fighter, and just, you know, it wasn't a bad call by any means, but as a fighter, I would like to let everything, you know, all chances be given to start a fight, and if that ends up, you know, you taking a couple more strikes, fine. If you're unconscious, that's a different animal, but if you're moving and you're trying, that's what a fight is.
But what about the Anthony Smith fight a few days ago? What about that stoppage?
I think it was a good fight. I mean, what I saw there was a guy that had a long period of time where he was cowering and getting beat up and not looking like he wanted to be in the fight. And I don't think it was because he was unconscious. It was just he was out of steam. He looked like he was out of willpower. And then on top of that, he's getting blasted. So, you know, it's a judgment call these guys have to do a lot of times. I mean, I don't think I would have liked to see him get his head bashed in, but I don't think he was in it for the long haul. I think, you know, he was maybe hoping like, dude, when's this going to end? Dominick, on the other hand, got rocked and in a bad position. I don't think it was a bad stoppage. I think it's, as a fighter, you know, you want to remove all doubt.
But do you think that Henry Cejudo will be back? He announced his retirement.
If he's smart, he is. I'll give him some advice, and I've given him advice in the past. And he's given a lot of people advice. He's one of the most accomplished guys out there, which is awesome. But, you know, this game is about longevity. The more somebody hears your name, the more recognizable you are. That's when you get to demand those dollars. It's not just being a great fighter. There's a lot of great fighters that haven't reached the pinnacle of success when it comes to money and fame and fortune and everything. And if he's like so irked by that needs to step away, fine. Hopefully it's a good negotiating move, and they compensate a guy that's a world champion 2 times over in our sport, 2 different weight classes against some of the best fighters ever, and an Olympic champion, the youngest guy to ever do it. Hopefully they do pony up and say, all right, let's feed this guy before he's worth it, because they can see the long-time investment. If you look at Anderson Silva, he wasn't a guy that was selling major pay-per-views. Chael P. Sonnen, the American gangster, put him over the top. That was the fight that made Anderson the guy that was a bankable star. And you see that with guys like John Jones. It's like there's a passing of the torch. And, you know, unfortunately, Henry hasn't beat a guy that's a big name guy. I think you know, right now Cody Garbrandt has the most following if it comes to social media and that kind of stuff. He's on a skid, but I'd like to see some of those kind of fights, or I would step in and fight the guy, or an Aldo or a Frankie. I mean, there's a lot more to do out there. And Henry, the money will get better, man. We had the same conversation 11 years ago in my gym where he was saying there's no money in MMA. And he was like, dude, I'm going to get paid $200,000 to go wrestle for the Olympics again. And I was like, I mean, $200,000 is, I mean, that's okay, but like, I don't think he was looking at the full picture. What about what are you getting on sponsorships, or what are you getting on this and the back end bonuses and this and that and the other thing? You know, things take time, and being the best in the world, which he absolutely is just a small part of it. Being the best in the world for a very long time and continuing to do what he's doing, is putting himself out there. He's getting funnier with his stuff. It used to be like very cringy, but it's getting pretty funny. He's getting better at it, so don't stop now.
Lastly, with the vacant bantamweight title, who do you think should be fighting for the belt?
There's so many people, and it's funny because most of the guys that were kind of in line for the belt are coming off losses. Even like an Aldo, who you could say he won, was coming off a loss, and Frankie went up a weight class on a short notice to fight the Korean Zombie, which was put him at a loss, and I fought Peter Yan, will put me at a loss, and Dominick Cruz had been out for 4 years, so he was at a loss. I mean, Cody Garbrandt had his skid, so he's at a loss. So it's kind of hard to say, really. I mean, TJ's out for cheating. He'll be back in however many months. I know he'll always think that he deserves whatever the best thing is for him. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, a lot of people. So I'd say, hey, give some of the young blood a shot. You got your Sanhagens, you got your Aljamains, you got your the guys that have been there for a long time, like the Sun Tsaos and the Cody Garbrandts, and some of the older cats that are reinventing themselves at a new weight class, like Frankie and Aldo. Like, there's a lot of good names out there. Not to mention Sugar Sean O'Malley. That guy, I forget to add him in the mix, but that guy's, I mean, it speaks for himself. He's got that star power. So, those are guys all in the conversation. Everyone's in the conversation right now. That's why it makes it an exciting time for the weight class.